Hi there. Good evening. Steve Kaufman here. Today I want to talk about writing correction. And I think I've talked about it before, but the subject has come up at our forum at Link, and so I thought I would talk about it. I was playing golf this afternoon and I was thinking about this whole issue of writing correction. Um, there is increasing realization that writing correction in terms of improving the accuracy of the student is largely ineffective. And if you Google writing correction effective, you'll find lots of studies that have been done where they study people who have their writing corrected and even corrected in 4 different ways, you know, with explanations or without explanations, colored pencils, and it really doesn't seem to matter. Correcting people's writing has very little effect on how accurately they use the language, and certainly that's been my experience. However, I think writing correction can be useful. First of all, if I write something, say at Link, and I submit it for correction, I am going to take a little more care, and I might look up some grammatical tables, maybe look up a word in the dictionary to find out if it's masculine or feminine or how to spell it or something. So the fact that it's going to be corrected by someone maybe puts a little more pressure on me. And I think the big part of writing for correction is actually the fact that we're writing. Like, writing itself is a very good thing to do because you're forced to think through what you want to say, and perhaps do a little bit of research, and all this time you're thinking about the words. And I think that is 90% of the advantage of submitting something to be corrected. The actual correction you receive has relatively little impact. I mean, I know in my own case, I get the mistakes back. In fact, and this is the second thing, the biggest advantage, and I should say that correcting writing is something that is done throughout the school system. It's a major part of language instruction, and yet it is essentially quite useless. But what I find useful, and first of all, when I was correcting people's English at Link, by far the largest category of mistakes, because we had different categories, you know, singular, plural, tenses, prepositions, articles, and so forth, the biggest problem people had was in what we called use of words. In other words, it might be grammatically correct, but the biggest issue is that they didn't put the words together in a way that was natural for the native speaker. And when I got my corrected texts back, what was most interesting to me was how the native speaker had reorganized the words to make it sound more natural. And then I would save those phrases to review. So what I was more interested in, because, you know, getting the cases right and all of this stuff is just gradually over time, reviewing them, maybe reading, listening, writing, slowly, you know, you'll get better at it. Having it corrected for you has relatively little impact. However, seeing, you know, I put words together in a certain way, and back comes this natural expression. So that to me is very significant. And that's why I think that writing correction should only be done by a native speaker. Because only a native speaker has a natural feel for how the words are put together and how the words are used and what is a natural expression. A non-native speaker might be able to correct the tense or correct, you know, it's singular, or, you know, the agreement in French or something like that. But those things are essentially minor, and having them corrected is not going to have much impact on you. What I think we need to get out of the writing correction, and which is what I look forward to, is how the words are put together, natural phrasing, natural patterns that I can then save and review and perhaps use. So therefore, writing correction should be done by native speakers. And yet the overwhelming majority of writing correction that is done in our schools and so forth is done by non-native speakers who will look for things that they think they know that the student doesn't know and mark them down on it, which is relatively unhelpful. So there you have it. some thoughts on writing correction. I look forward to your views. Bye for now.